Today I am here with my friend Rena, and she is the better half
Sure.
of the Process Over Prize team, which is my friend Martin. So today we're going to talk about, because Rena, you do not do jujitsu,
No, that's not my thing.
but you have your own fitness goals
Yeah.
and journey that you're amazing at. So
Thank
tell
you.
me about that. How did you? You're a power lifter.
So I do CrossFit. I
Uh-huh.
love lifting, Olympic weightlifting. All of that stuff is more my jam.
Mhm.
I kind of discovered it or fell into it after having our second kid.
Okay.
6 months into it, I was like, I need to do something.
So and that baby's almost 4.
Almost five.
Almost 5
Yeah,
now. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's right.
So almost going on 5 years almost. And I kind of just got hooked from there.
Mhm.
And
What was it about it? Because new babies, new everything, like so many women face that stress,
Yeah.
and it's almost like we wait until our babies are grown and
Right.
completely independent
right.
before we find a passion for ourselves.
So, true story, it was basically the only gym that provided childcare.
Okay.
that was it. Like, I
Yeah.
was like, I'm just going to give it a try because they offer childcare and we'll see
Uh-huh.
like what happens.
And how did that work out as far as like the mom guilt,
Yeah.
everything else of taking that time for yourself every day?
You know, initially I was like, you get a little bit guilty, but I realized that I needed it. Like, in order for me to be better for them, I needed to carve out an hour a day.
Right.
And I just felt like in the grand scheme of things, they're going to be okay for an hour.
Right.
They're going to be a lot better for that 1 hour that mommy gets a break versus me not taking any time and it being a rough 24 hours.
Yeah.
So just 1 hour.
My sister-in-law told me when I had my second baby and feeling that strain, and stay-at-home mom, you
Yeah.
know, everything else, and trying to deal with that, she said, Marjorie, they get sick of you too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, my girls were thriving in there, like, and just, socializing and then being able, so usually like the time that I would go, which was 9:30, it was mostly a mom group, right?
Right.
Like they drop off kids and then they go to the gym. So it was kind of like a play day
Yeah.
for them. So it was
Yeah.
perfect. It was perfect.
Yeah.
It was
And
perfect.
so you progressed in CrossFit, you progressed into Olympic weightlifting.
Yes.
Which is amazing to me because I'm very intimidated by weightlifting.
A lot of women are, but that's kind of like what draws me, and that kind of is what pushed me into getting my certification because I think we need more women in this space and
Absolutely.
just kind of break down those stereotypes and fears and intimidation. Like, no, it's for everybody.
Well, and I think women bring a different perspective.
Yeah.
That makes any sport that they're engaged in better.
Absolutely.
And I mean, jiu-jitsu, obviously there's always going to be more men
Yeah.
on the mat.
Yeah.
Typically, unless it's a women's only group.
Yeah.
But I love the dynamic that we get in this space, that it's a professionalism type of thing that, I don't know, for me, I appreciate the friendships
Yeah, for sure.
of the men that I train with
Yeah.
and the perspective
Yeah.
that brings to my training. But that I also know that if there's something that I'm going, am I thinking like a woman like this, but I need to understand the other side,
Yeah.
I can trust them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now, as a wife of a jiu-jitsu black belt
Yeah.
who is grappling all the time,
Yeah.
as a girl,
Yeah.
dating relationships, some men have a hard time with that.
Yeah.
How do you handle that with him? Because he coaches, he
Yeah.
teaches, he grapples with everyone.
Yeah.
How does that work for you?
I know who I married, and I know that jiu-jitsu is like, although it is like a social, element, and he gets to meet different people, he's not there for that.
Right.
So I have to know, like, I have to trust that that's not what he's there for. So I actually like the fact that he does get to coach different people. It's not just men. He coaches women, and I'm totally okay with like him doing that because I understand that it's helping somebody.
Right.
And if he's making women feel comfortable on the mat,
And
that's
safe.
incredible. Yeah, like I'm like, listen, the fact that they trust you and the fact that they're willing and able to come to you for that and mentorship and like training and all that, they feel safe around you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think it's amazing how combined both of your loves for your individual sports.
Yeah.
You're building this wonderful business.
Yeah.
And you've become a certified trainer, you've
Yep.
become doing nutrition,
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
all aspects of it. Like process over prize in jiu-jitsu, I understand that as
Yeah.
a white belt.
Yeah.
It's like, there's going to be a lot of process.
Yep.
how does that equate for you in your sport to where you came together with that vision
Yeah.
of very different sports but complementary goals?
So I think for me it was, again, I started CrossFit 5 years ago. I am well into my 30s. I'm closer to 40 than 30. So it was very much like seeing other women in this sport and seeing them at their peak and realizing that that may not be me, but it doesn't mean that I can't strive for a better version of myself. So for me, like, the process is, may not be on someone's, like, win first prize or anything like that on anything, but it's engaging in the process of just becoming the best version of myself. I don't need to be like anybody else's. I don't need to have like their athleticism or anything like that. I just need to tap into my own, and like kind of tap into my own process of becoming better. Period.
And whatever the progress quotient is
exactly
at the end of a training session.
Exactly.
I think for me that's an advantage too, coming into a sport, finding it at a later point in life. I was 40 when I rolled for the first time. Like, I know I am not going to become
and society will tell you. Society, like, it's too late. Your time's gone. But it's like, wait, I don't have to do it just solely for the trophy or the,
it's
the medal.
Interesting though. It is interesting though, because in this sport, I was like, I'll never become a professional. Professionally, I work in medical device, and I work with a lot of professional fighters in my job space. But I also work with professional ball players, professional athletes of every spectrum. If I said to the professional athletes of any other sport, like, I want to get into this, and I have a goal to someday be a black belt. Because I do. Like, I want to be a black belt someday.
You have to have a goal.
And you need to strive for that. But if I said I want to achieve that level in your sport, they would all smile and say, "Oh,
that's sweet. That's cute.
Just have fun."
That's cute.
Right?
Yeah.
And professional fighters that I know are like, do it. Go for it. And they're the most encouraging. And I love that aspect of the sport that brings that understanding of how can I contribute to your journey. And I know I'm not going to stand on those big stages with a medal for my skill on the mat, but can I use my experience to help someone else
take that step and just
take that step? Someone who may have found this sport at a point in their life where they have the athleticism and the physicality, how can I encourage them? The other thing for me, and it's interesting because I think we're getting to the same point, through training, I've started to ask people when I'm getting to know them, what do you do that keeps you engaged in the rest of your life? Right? Like, for me, jiu-jitsu clears my head, clears the unnecessary stress, but the principles and concepts that I learn on the mat, when I apply them to the rest of my life and taking personal accountability, responsibility, and just stop coming from a place of fear or reactionary. Jiu-jitsu keeps me engaged. Like, I notice when I'm not training, it's easier for me to get in the don't be mean to me. Things like that. So for you with CrossFit and lifting, I think it's kind of the same thing. Is that phase to keep your
I think for me it's been, because of the time that I've been doing it, is I think we live in a society where everybody wants a quick fix. And CrossFit doesn't let you have quick fixes. No. Like, there is no like shortcuts. So for me,
there's not going to be a 6-month black belt in jiu-jitsu. Either.
There's not a 30-day, like we'll get you on a podium 30. Like, that's not. So for me, it's been that, and how, like, I've applied. There are no shortcuts in this life. Like, you have to put in the work, and that translates to everything else that I do. Like, as much as I want to get through tasks quickly, I can't. There are no shortcuts, because it will rear its ugly head in the product, So like, one big thing that we promote is like form. Everybody wants to lift heavy, but if you're not focusing on form, if you're not focusing on foundation, it's not going to create longevity. It's not going to
take
create
off 20 pounds and make sure your form and your muscle memory is there.
Right.
And then add 10.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can keep it.
Yeah, one of the things I love to say is, like, I ask athletes all the time is, are you here for a good time or a long time? And ultimately is, I want me personally, I want to continue coming back. I
Right.
want to have to like be pulled away from the gym when I'm 85, right? Like,
Right.
I don't want to just come here, have a good time, blow
You
my
want
back
the
out.
gym to retire
Yeah, I
you?
want like the official retirement. Like, I want to be in my senior citizen home, like with a gym, you know,
But
versus.
I think that's amazing. Like the way you said that is just, my parents are in their 80s.
Yeah.
And they just moved into a senior retirement community over the last year. And when I went to see them, they're like, "Oh, look at our gym.
Yeah.
Look at our," and they're really incorporate. Like they have an
Physical,
on-staff trainer
Yeah.
and physical therapist.
Yeah.
Because everybody is recognizing the importance of physical activity at whatever
Every
your
age.
capacity
Yep.
to
And-
keep your brain
Yep.
functioning, to everything
And
firing.
that's what I've loved about like even CrossFit. Like when I started going, most of the gym was, you know, maybe around my age, a little bit older. But at the gym that I'm at now, we have what we consider like masters athletes over the age of 60. And I adore that demographic because it doesn't matter what they did, you know, 50 years prior, whether they were sedentary or athletes themselves, like just watching them move and realize too that it's like they might be limited or whatever, but they're out there and they're still doing something, right? So instead of like back squatting 300 pounds, we're working on like sitting on a chair properly and keeping that posture and all of that and how that applies to their life now.
Right.
To just create longevity, even
Right.
at 60, at 70, at 80.
It's huge. My parents started walking,
Right?
just walking, because my dad's retired, 22 years in the military, and he started studying. You know, he didn't want to get old.
Yeah, I get that too.
He did not, and,
I get
and,
that.
and that's still,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
it's funny because he'll say that like,
Yeah.
you know, us old guys, we get squirrely.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but started doing that, and I've noticed as they're aging and health issues
Yeah.
are occurring,
Yeah.
just that minimal amount of activity that's been consistent in
Yeah.
their lives, they are so much better
Ahead of
off.
some of
Than, I mean, especially now that they've moved into, it's an independent
living, facility,
independent all the way up to memory care,
Yeah.
kind of a
Okay.
facility. But so you see a wider spectrum of aging there.
Yeah.
And they're kind of some of the older ones. They're the latest to the party.
Yeah.
And they're still very much independent.
Good for them.
You know, and
That should be all of our goals, right?
right?
Yeah.
And I think anybody looking into getting into a sport,
Yeah.
whether it's, because we were talking about this earlier, whether it's jiu-jitsu, whether it's lifting, whether it's CrossFit, is there an age time limit
No.
on starting?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Like again, like I joke all the time about working specifically with masters athletes, and it's like put myself in those shoes. Like when I'm 90, I want to be able to get myself off the toilet.
Right.
You know, like so,
Right.
so again, it's
Yeah.
not, doesn't necessarily mean that you have to follow it as a sport, as a competitive sport, but it's like the functionality at home. Can you
Yes.
get off from your chair? Can you get out of bed by yourself? Can you, get in and out of your vehicle by
Right.
yourself? Things like that.
Well, and I joke about this, but it is a true thing. When, especially younger,
Yeah.
we start working out, right? Your first leg day,
Yeah.
fry it,
Yeah,
burn
yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
And you're strategically falling on the toilet.
Yeah. You're holding on
Yeah.
like, to the counter. Yeah.
Yeah, and so obviously with the masters clients,
Yeah.
patients, you're not going to do that.
Right. Yeah.
But if they can have that muscle control,
Strength, yeah.
that you can start adding, because what's the end game for so many people as they age?
Yeah.
A broken hip, a
Knees.
broken leg,
Yep.
a shoulder.
Yeah.
What mobility they were engaged in
Yep.
is eliminated in the recovery process.
Exactly.
And the pain to get back to
Yeah.
that, they never
The
do it.
recovery is far longer. than
Yeah,
some
they
of the
they never
injuries.
do it.
Yeah.
I mean, countless times.
Yeah.
It's so and so's doing great. They're independent. Slipped and fell,
Mhm.
and we're, and I think that if more people took advantage of opportunities to work
Yeah.
with someone like you, who really understands, not coming at it from the 20-year
Right.
go
Right. Yeah.
but let's create longevity.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's ideally what we should all be
Yeah.
striving for.
Yeah, and that process and the prize, what we were talking about too, of
Yeah.
learning the patience.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we learn very quickly that we're not going to see results in a week in the
Right.
gym.
Oh,
right?
The amount of times I've heard, but like, when's my six-pack coming? And it's like, we're on session 3. It's not how it works. Yeah.
We can have this conversation in 6 months.
Yeah.
But when you translate that to life, how many worthwhile pursuits are you going to see the result in 3 weeks?
Right.
3 months?
Right.
And for me, in some of my personal pursuits off the mat, gaining the patience to come into, to become,
right,
but seeing the result of that on the mat is actually faster than some of the personal pursuits.
Right.
And it just gives me that patience to put the time and the effort in.
Yeah. I tell people too, like, again, there is no quick fixes. There is no, like, you have to be patient with it. But also, it's once you get to your goal, right, whatever that goal is, a lot of people don't realize that it's hard to stay there, right?
Yes.
Like, so it's if you think, like, you might think this is easy, but once we hit that goal, guess what happens? We need to create bigger goals sometimes, and it's hard to keep that up. So I always tell people, like, enjoy the process, enjoy the process, enjoy those small little victories that you're seeing within that. Because once we hit that big milestone, that is like really where a lot of people struggle, right?
Yeah.
And for one of the things that I see a lot, especially in nutrition, is people want to lose weight, 10, 15, 40 pounds, whatever the case may be. And I tell them, like, okay, that's going to be a challenge in itself. But you know what's even more challenging? Staying there.
Right.
Staying there, especially the more weight you want to lose. If you have somebody who wants to lose 50 pounds, okay, we can't do that in 30 days. But if you're not, if you can't enjoy the process for the 6 months, and I just rushed you to that 50-pound weight loss, you know how horrible, you know how horrible it's going to be. We can't maintain that,
If you embrace the process, you embrace the lifestyle.
Yeah. And you get to see that, like, maybe that number is just a number in your head, but really you can fulfill some other goals. You can feel contentment in losing 30 pounds over 50, right? Like, you can feel better in your skin, losing just 20 pounds over 50, things like that. And I think, like, allowing that timeline to take its place, you start to realize that there's more wins, in that process than it is that ultimate, like, 50 pounds is a number. Why is 50 pounds the number?
Well, and here's the other side of that too. I mean, when I started training, I was almost 200 pounds.
Yeah.
I 10 years of chronic low back pain and sciatic pain.
Yeah.
I really thought there's no way I could.
Yeah.
I've resolved all of the medications and everything that I was on to manage my back pain.
Yeah.
I've lost weight, everything, but I've dieted before. I've done physical therapy before.
Yeah.
Physical therapy was boring and lonely, and you're being watched.
Yeah.
It's not, there's not a community. There's not a sense of belonging. Diets, frankly, they pissed me off.
Yeah.
I got irritable.
Yeah.
But when I started training and embracing it as becoming, it was easier to watch what I was eating.
Exactly.
And to feel committed to what I was eating, because now I'm viewing it as fuel.
Yeah.
And
more of a lifestyle. It's not like someone's making you do, it's more like you can incorporate it into your life. It doesn't feel so foreign. It doesn't feel like, it's another diet. It's like, wait a second. Like, I'm training and I'm feeling better when I'm eating this way, or,
like,
better choices.
Look, if I have fried foods now, like,
after
that's going to make it harder to roll.
Exactly. And you feel it.
And I feel
cause and
it.
effect.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
My 8-year-old yesterday, we were going to the grocery store, and he starts talking about Oreos.
On the way to the grocery store.
I love Oreos, And I said, yeah. And he goes, why don't you eat Oreos that much anymore, Mom? And I said, well, baby, the way I look at it, if I eat 2 Oreos, that's the same amount as a piece of grilled chicken and some vegetables and some fruit. And I know that that's going to be healthier for me.
If it's going to make you feel better.
For training and everything else. And I said, if I eat the 2 Oreos, I still have to go eat the chicken. And I said, so, I'll have one.
Yeah.
But I don't feel the need for it as much, because its value is diminished by its impact on the process that I'm enjoying so much.
And that's the thing too. It's like finding that medium and making it make sense for what your goal is. Like, one of the things is, sure, have the Oreo,
Right.
Like, sure, have the 2
But
Oreos.
not 2 every day.
Right, and it's the...
Or 2 with breakfast, 2 with lunch.
Right, and it's like...
Because that's how it is with being mom at home with little kids, especially.
If it makes it in the pantry, it makes it in the pantry, forget
Get
about
done.
it. You've got to get rid of it. But again, one of the things that I really promote with clients is just having that constant self-awareness that you have choices.
Right.
And choices have consequences. And it does not mean that you have to deprive yourself from Oreos or from your favorite foods. It doesn't. But let's also not pretend like there's not an effect. That if you continuously go for those Oreos, what does that mean towards your goals? How are you going to train? How are you going to feel the next day? So it is going to have an effect. And sometimes I tell people, if it's date night, if you're on vacation, of course, right. Like, I get it. Your kid's birthday party, you shouldn't say no to cake at your kid's birthday party.
I just came home from a week in Hawaii.
Yeah.
I did not restrict myself.
Who wants to go on vacation
I
and
enjoyed
restrict
it.
themselves? Right.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But my mindset has changed. I came home from vacation 3 pounds lighter.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what?
How did this happen? Yeah.
Because I'm still making those, because that's become what I prefer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not only in food choices, but in activity choices.
Exactly.
Like for me, it was like, okay, we laid on the beach for an hour. Now let's go walk the beach.
I need to go. Exactly.
I want, and it's not, I have to.
Yeah.
It's I want to.
It becomes a part of your routine. And that's what we want to do. We want to build routines and build habits where we want to do that stuff.
Well, if your goal is the prize, like look amazing at my sister's wedding, or whatever. Yeah. As soon as you hit that, it's over.
It's over.
It's really funny. I was watching an interview a couple months ago with the writers of Colder Weather, which was the first #1 hit for Zach Brownbaum.
Okay.
And one of them, he said, I kind of lost it for a little bit. He's like, I kind of just didn't know what to do with myself because all my life I'd wanted to write a #1 song.
And then once you do,
and it was accomplished.
Yeah.
And then
I have clients who do that too. It's like it's they either need a big goal, and if once they hit it, or if they're taking a break from it, it's the wait. I kind of feel stuck, right? Like what do I do? Wait, I already did that. So what's the next best thing, or what's the next greatest thing, or whatever? It's
how has that perspective coming from your side, and then in supporting Martin in jiu-jitsu, because you can lift, and I believe y'all have a home gym too.
We do. Yeah.
So you can kind of get it in. Yeah. He needs bodies.
Yes. Yeah.
He needs competition.
And he's not going to use mine. Like I don't roll. That's not a thing.
But you know what? I think, how do you balance that? Because so many couples think that they both have to be
I'm so glad you asked this. I'm so glad you asked this. So we are very independent people. We've met independent, like that's just who we are. We are very respectful that it's okay to have different pursuits.
And you have trust.
And but you gotta give them space. Like I'm a huge proponent. You have to give them space because I want my own space and I want my own opportunities to pursue my interests.
And you want him to have his own friends.
And I want him to have his own friends, and like military life is demanding, and when he's working long hours or he's gone for weeks at a time, jiu-jitsu gives him an outlet. Like I can't expect him to be deprived, or like taxed with work and then come home and not have an outlet, right? So like this is like he can decompress, he can socialize outside of work, so he doesn't have to constantly talk about
and it
work
keeps him
stuff.
sexy.
Listen, okay now, but it keeps them healthy, and like I think it's just it's something that we've introduced our daughters to, so it's something that they bond over. There's just there's so many different outlets. Jiu-jitsu has been a blessing for him and for our marriage, and it's what fuels him and lights his fire. Who am I to be like, nah, I don't want that for you.
You need to be home by this time, and that doesn't work.
No, some people do therapy, and I'm not saying we do therapy, but like everyone has an outlet, and this is probably the healthiest, most fulfilling outlet, and I am just grateful that this is what he chose.
I was married to a law enforcement officer for 16 years.
Yeah.
And numerous times, not only me, but physicians, other people would say,
Yeah.
you need to do something that's just for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was not something that he was able to plug into. And I mean, he and I would both view our level of support in that dynamic probably differently,
Yeah.
different perspectives.
Yeah.
But I felt that tremendously with the stress, the everything of that job,
Yeah.
and being a military spouse, similar stresses,
Yeah.
and let's be honest, there's PTSD is very real.
Yeah.
For people who are not in combat situations professionally. Now add that.
Yeah.
That's what you do every day. There has to be the outlet.
Yeah.
And so, but I think as a spouse to recognize that
Yeah.
and to support that is tremendous because it's difficult.
Yeah, it is.
My guy worked 12-hour shifts
Yeah.
at night. It's very easy to be like,
Your turn. Text
Your
me.
turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and we could
You're
have
my
done that.
bride.
Yeah, we could have done that. But it's just again, it's the kind of like what happened to me, right? Like having to take that hour when I had my second
it
daughter.
gave you the perspective.
Right. It's the I need this. So I can't take that away from him because I know I am a better parent, I am a better wife when I have me time.
And a better woman.
Right. He's a better husband and a better father when he has his opportunity to train. So what good is it for me to force him or give him an ultimatum of, well, no training today because you need to do this, for him to be like unhappy, like for what? Like let him have his hour, let him have his
But
time.
I love too when he competes.
Yeah. That's always fun.
It is.
Yeah, it's fun.
But and usually because of the family dynamic, he travels to compete on his own.
Yeah.
But with flow grappling, when he does IBJJF tournaments and things like that, and there've been plenty of times that I've videoed, and he's like, because my girls are gonna watch.
Yeah.
And I love how y'all don't make it like a mandatory. The whole family must attend together in order to celebrate. This process together.
I mean, any opportunity that we get to like go with him, great. It's fantastic. But if we had put that pressure of like, well, you can only compete if we all go, he'd have a lot of missed opportunities because we have, obligations at home and I work and
and the
have
cost
school.
of travel
And the
for
cost,
4
right,
versus one.
Right. So that's like any opportunity that he has, like the first thing we do is like look at our calendar. What do we have going on? Can we make it work? If not, all right, that's fine. Like we'll watch it, we'll stream it. He'll send me the link. Like this is my bracket, and we'll still watch.
Yeah.
We have friends back home. We'll all watch together. You know. But he does the same thing for me. Like if I compete, we all look at the calendar. Can we all make it? Yes or no? If not, same level of support. It's okay. It's all right.
Well, I think at the end of the day, really, you're proving that the process is the price.
Yeah. Yep.
Like
that's what we're holding on to.
You know, because life will always change on you.
Exactly.
And if you don't evolve with it,
right,
it'll bite you in the
ass. Yep. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank
today.
you
I
for
appreciate
this.
it.
Likewise.
Yes. And
Always fun.
I have to talk to you because I need to start doing some additional.
Let's do it. Let's do it.